Hi, I'm Tammy Silver de Tamarinis, and I am so glad you're joining me, whether it's live or via a playback on the recording. What I wanted to do for you today is give you a brief tutorial on my guided improv technique. Now, I'm doing this because I am super excited to announce that in Simply Moderne, my to the point pattern is going to be featured there. And while all the instructions are there, some people are a little intimidated, or maybe intimidated is the wrong word, maybe unsure of how to approach this guided improv technique. So let me kind of set the stage for you. Guided improv is a happy mix between traditional piecing and improv piecing. Now, improv piecing, at least my understanding of it, is very loosey-goosey. You simply combine fabrics at angles that suit your personal preference, and you create your block, but they are very individual and very imprecise. Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's free form and it is artistic expression at its best. But as a pattern designer, that makes it very difficult to write a pattern. So I love the idea that everything we create doesn't have to be perfect, but I thought, how can I bring that concept to my patterns? Hence the guided improv. So what I do is I give you guidelines. Hey, that's where the guided came from. So I give you some guidelines, I give you some measurements, and that's where you start. Now, just like true improv, the results are not perfect. Now, you see my quilt behind me to the point, and this is a version. Simply Moderne will have a version in their magazine, and they look very similar. But if you put the two side by side, I can guarantee you they are not identical. Some of the diamonds may be longer, some may be shorter, some may be fatter, some may be skinnier, but the overall quilt looks very much the same. So what I want to do is I'm going to give you a step-by-step to walk you through the process of guided improv, kind of help you feel a little bit more comfortable. And then we're going to come back and I'm going to do a little mini trunk show for you, because you may be wondering after I walk you through the technique, well, that's great, Tammy, we can make this pattern. What else can we do with that? So I've got you covered. I have created several patterns and I'm going to continue to create patterns using that same guided improv technique. All right, so let's get started. Now, I have a piece of batting that I am going to use for my flannel board. And in fact, I think I'll pin it up this way so we can put our steps across here. And I will run out of room, but not to worry. That's the beauty of video, right? You can go back and play it again and again. Now, in case you're wondering, and you're welcome to pose questions, and I will try to go back and pull up your questions afterward. I am on the phone, so double tasking, multitasking, probably not my strong suit. But understand that this is just a demo. The sizes are not specific to any given pattern. They're just large enough for you to be able to see what's going on. All right, so with my basic guided improv, I am going to start with a rectangle. Now this rectangle is going to be my diamond. And you're going to see as we go through the process what I mean by that. So I'm going to start with my rectangle. Now, for the diamonds, I'm going to give you measurements. And I'm going to have you draw a line from one mark to the next. And those marks are going to become your fabric placement guides. That's your guide, okay? So you probably can't see it, but I have used a Chalco marker. That's my personal marking tool of choice. Why? Well, I don't know about you, but I tend to make mistakes. And the thing I love about a Chalco marker is that if I do make a mistake, if I drew that line too far over or too far in or whatever it may be, I can just brush it off and start all over again. Now, you may have your own personal preference. You might like pencils. You might like a freeze-on pen. Whatever you choose to use, please use something that's not permanent, because I do have some folks that come into classes and workshops and want to use a Sharpie. And I'm going to encourage you not to do that. Yes, it is super easy to see. That is true. But that's a very permanent line and you might, make a mistake. So, Choco marker, pencil, some kind of fabric-friendly marking tool. You're going to make your marks. Now, your next step, I've given you measurements for your background pieces. So what am I going to do? Well, the first thing I'm going to do on my diamond is I'm going to take my first background strip and I'm going to lay it along that marked line. Okay? And then I'm going to sew with a traditional 1/4 inch seam. So no mystery here. This raw edge of my rectangle that's my background is going to become my raw edge for my 1/4 inch seam. So I've sewn with a 1/4 inch seam, and then I'm going to be pressing away from my diamond and towards my background. So it's going to look like that. Easy, right? Yes, yes, it is very easy. Okay, step number 2. After I have pressed my first background strip, then I'm going to mark again, and I'm going to lay that rectangle on that marked line, and you guessed it, I'm going to sew with a 1/4 inch seam. And then, just as before, I'm going to press it out. Starting to see a trend here, aren't you? All right, so step 3. I've got my top done. Now I'm going to make my markings down here at the bottom. Again, I'm going to lay that rectangle on that marked line. I'm going to sew with a 1/4 inch seam, and I'm going to press out. All right. My next step, I'm going to complete this because I want to create a diamond. I'm going to make, whoops, I'll turn it upside down so everything is in the same place. All right. So I've made my mark. I've laid my rectangle on that mark, the raw edge against that line. I've sewn with a 1/4 inch seam, and I'm going to press out. Now, at this point, it looks like this. This is where I get emails from folks. They buy my pattern online, which is awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate your business. They buy my pattern online. They start making it, and they get to this point, and they have these exposed raw edges, and they email me, and they're like, Tammy, this isn't going to work. I have raw edges. What am I going to do about these raw edges? That's not right. Well, I've given you measurements so that it's oversized, okay? So what we're going to do at this point is we're going to turn this bad boy over. This is what it looks like from the back side. And then I'm going to trim away this excess. Now, why do I have you keep your rectangle? Because a lot of my patterns use very long, skinny strips, and we want to keep that rectangle very stable. So here is what my finished diamond looks like. This is what it looks like from the front. This is what it looks like from the back. So once you've sewn and you've pressed, you're going to trim, and you're going to trim to the size that you need your diamond to be. And with long skinny diamonds, by keeping that fabric there, it's going to keep that diamond nice and stable. It's not going to wave, okay? So this is the basics. Now, you may have noticed, and some people do, you've got excess here. Think of this kind of like paper piecing. You know, with paper piecing, your pieces are bigger to allow you to manipulate and sew those pieces on, get those funky angles. There's a little bit of waste. So this is kind of how I think of it. Everything in life is a trade-off. What I'm trading is I no longer have to use templates or paper that I'm going to have to remove later. So I'm willing to trim off a little bit of fabric so that I get this awesome diamond. Now that's pretty easy, isn't it? Absolutely it is. All right, so I'm going to put this up here so you can see real quickly we went from our solid rectangle, which actually becomes our diamond, and then we added our background pieces. Super simple. All right, so I'm going to take this down. Let's look at to the point again real quickly. And then I'm going to give you a little trunk show so you can see some of the other patterns that I have. So to the point, now you're getting a glimpse here. As I said, Simply Moderne is going to have it in their magazine. I believe the issue is out this week. You can also see this on my website, of course, in all of its glory. Okay, so this is a large lap size quilt, and it uses 20 fabrics plus your background. and it's a lot of fun. Now, I showed you how you make the diamonds. You want the pattern because you're going to notice these diamonds weave in and out, over and under each other. A lot of fun, and I was going for that mid-century modern vibe. That's what I was trying to capture. Okay, but what else can you do with guided improv? Well, let me show you. I've got several patterns, more in the works. I just came up with a new design this weekend. So excited about it. All right, so this, I'm going to hold this up. You won't see me for just a minute. This is my pointed comments. So this is a table runner and placemats. This is a great place to start. If you're interested in guided improv, but you want a smaller project, the placemat and the table runner, easy peasy, smaller fabric commitment, smaller time commitment, and gets you more comfortable with making the diamonds and cutting them up, because you are going to be cutting them up to make them weave in and out. Okay, so that's pointed comments. Now, the first pattern I actually did for guided improv, and I'm going to try to push the camera back a little bit without getting things too wobbly so that you can see. But my first pattern that I did as guided improv was sound waves. All right, so you can see some of it, but you're not going to be able to see the whole thing. But this is sound waves. And again, it uses 20 fabrics. Now, I love, love, love blacks and brights. Think it's super duper fun. But one of the things I did this past spring is I thought, wouldn't it be fun to see that in a different colorway? So I did that. This is done with my Speakeasy collection, fabric collection for Island Boutique. And look at sound waves now with a cream background and softer colors. Still super, super pretty. Isn't that fun? So much fun. So easy. Now, wanted to take things a little bit further. Let's do something a little different. And again, I'm going to try and go back a little bit further just so you can kind of get some perspective. All right, so this is Prism. And Prism also uses diamonds, but we're going to make a lot of different size diamonds. And I love, love, love the effect that was achieved with darkening the background as I went from the center out to the outside edges. Isn't that fun? And hey, if you tackle Prism or sound waves or to the point, you get really, really good at making diamonds, and you're going to say that is a snap. Now, diamonds are great, but I was thinking, what else can you do with guided improv? Now, I don't know about you, but I love Mariner's Compass. Yes, you guessed it. Mariner's Compass is the pattern that I'm working on right now. It is in the hands of my testers. Yay, testers! And this is compass points. So, this is a Mariner's Compass, and you guessed it. It is done with guided improv. No paper piecing, no templates. Not perfect, folks. Those stars are pretty, but they're not perfect. Now, here's what I like about guided improv. When you look at this star, what do you see? You see the points, right? And by using two different colors, I create some dimension and some depth to those stars, and that's what you see. But I'm here to tell you, not perfect. But it was easy. It was actually fairly quick as well. So this is compass points, and this pattern is available for pre-order right now. Like I said, it is in the hands of my testers, and I'm hoping within 3 to 4 weeks it's going to be ready to ship. But I wanted to give you an idea that, you know, if you pick up your copy of Simply Moderne and you're making the guided improv, you're making the to the point pattern, that there are some other things out there. If you like the technique, you've got some other options, and there are more things coming. So Tina, Kim, thanks so much for viewing my Facebook Live. It was very impromptu. I'm so happy that y'all joined us, and thanks for your kind words. And I look forward to seeing you again on future videos. And until then, happy stitching.